Okay, so today we are going to be doing the ultimate book tag, and I'm going to be dividing this up into two separate videos. In total, there are 24 questions, so to keep the video shorter, I'm going to do part 1 now, the first 12, and part 2 will come up in a later video at some point later on this month. Let's get right into it. The ultimate book tag, question number 1. Do you get sick reading in the car? I don't get sick reading in the car, but I can get very dizzy. It's hard for me to read a book while I'm in a vehicle that is in motion. So yeah, but if there's like say heavy traffic, that's fine because you're not moving so fast. But reading a book while being driven down the freeway, it's just not something that I would like to entertain. So there you go. Question number 2. Which author's writing style is completely unique to you and why? Oh, goodness me. That is a really good question. I'll probably go with Leigh Bardugo, especially Six of Crows, which is the only book that I've read of hers so far. The reason why this writing style is so completely unique to me is that it is the only book that I've read so far in 2020 that is a character-based book, character-driven book, rather than a plot-driven book that I absolutely loved, which made it really unique. I have recently found out that there is a lot more to this Grisha verse, so I think I may have come in a little bit too, late in the series. There are other books to read of hers, like Shadow and Bone, and those ones, so I might pick those up, but yeah, I would say Leigh Bardugo because she's actually able to write a character-driven book that I enjoy. Normally, I don't enjoy that kind of writing. So, Leigh Bardugo for that one. Question number 3. Harry Potter or Twilight, and give 3 reasons why. Okay, so we're slanting the camera up for this. I have a whole shelf dedicated to just Harry Potter. I have no shelf dedicated to Twilight. In saying that, I am considering rereading Twilight at some point, but my TBR wish list has grown so much over the past couple of months that I don't know when I'll fit Twilight in, but definitely Harry Potter. So give 3 reasons why. Okay, number 1, there are more books. So with Twilight, there's only 3 books. With Harry Potter, if you include Cursed Child, there are 8 books. If you don't include Cursed Child, there are 7. So there's more to read. Second reason why Harry Potter is not written in first-person perspective. Growing up, I read both Harry Potter and Twilight, and what I didn't like about Twilight was that it was written in first-person perspective. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not a fan of the whole I. I much prefer third-person. I don't know. It's a personal thing, I guess. And reason number 3, Harry Potter has a magic system in it. So it may be a soft magic system, but it has a magic system in it. Twilight does not have a magic system. So those are my reasons why I prefer Harry Potter. Question 4, do you carry a book bag? And if so, what's in it besides books? I don't really carry a book bag per se, but for those of you who have seen Gilmore Girls, I'm very much like Rory in that every time I leave the house, I always have a book on me, at least one in the bag that I have on me that day, because there's always time to do a bit of reading, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this question is one that I'm going to sit here and answer because I'd rather just refer to books themselves rather than things outside of books, but yeah. I'm going to answer it in that way. I always have a book on me whenever I leave the house because there's always time to read. Question 5. Do you smell your books? Apparently I do, and I did not know this until this month's TBR arrived. I was unconsciously smelling them, and I didn't even realize, and the reason that I picked up on it was because one of them smelt different. It was like a combination between new car and new shoe smell. So, I don't know, that was just really strange for me. I don't remember which book it is, but I'm sure it's going to be a nice sensory surprise, let's put it that way, when I pick up that book this month, and I'll let you guys know which one it is when we get to it. But apparently I just do it unconsciously. Question 6. Books with or without illustrations? Now, this is a very good question, and it couldn't have been any more better timed. Currently, I am reading a book, a historical fiction called The Book Thief by Markus Zusak, and within that book, there are certain sections that have illustrations, and I really appreciated that because to me this book is kind of dry. It's historical fiction, so it's kind of dry for me, not really my cup of tea, but I really appreciate the illustrations that are in this novel, this tome of a novel. I've had books before that have, especially with fantasy, they'll have illustrations of maps of areas, and I really do like that. So I honestly don't mind either way, but I appreciate whenever there are illustrations in novels. Now, as far as like picture books themselves, I don't really read those anymore. Nothing against them. I just don't really read them anymore. But yeah, novels with illustrations, yes, I appreciate them, but I can go either way. Book 7. Book 7, question 7. What book did you love while reading, but discovered later it wasn't quality writing? That is a very good question, and regardless of the answer, I'd feel really bad for the author. I don't, I don't know. I don't really want to answer that one. I don't know. I mean, let's answer it this way. I love the Vampire Academy series. That's why I have it predominantly displayed behind me. And while I had mixed ratings for the different books, 3 of them received 3 stars and 3 of them received 5 stars. I overall love the series, but there are a lot of people out there who say that the quality of the books is not great at all. So maybe Twilight could be that answer, but I still think it's really well written, so I don't know. Does that answer your question? I hope not. If not, you should create this book tag yourself and then, let me know and I'll check out your answer. Let's move on to the next question. Question 8. Do you have any funny stories involving books from your childhood? Yes, but I don't remember which one it was, honestly. But it was one of the Harry Potter books. So I was coming home from high school one day, and I would always catch transport home. So from school, I would catch a bus that would take me to the train station, and then I would catch a train from that station to the station that's near my house, and then my house from that final train station was about 5 minutes away. Anyway, so I'm traveling on the train, part of my journey going home, and I'm reading a Harry Potter book. Now, for those of you who have seen my Harry Potter stuff here on BookTube, you can certainly attest to the fact that I love this series so much. It's my second favourite series of all time. At that time, it was my absolute favourite series of all time. And I was so zoned into the book, and I love these moments when they happen. I was so zoned into whichever Harry Potter book it was that literally everything else just melted away, and the only thing that existed was Harry Potter and whatever Harry Potter was going through at that point in time. The next thing I know, I looked up from my book thinking, oh, I should be coming to my station really soon, and I found out that I had completely passed my station and it was gone. Fortunately for me, the very next station was the last station on the train line, but we were like 30 seconds to a minute away from the final station, so I literally had to get out of the train, cross over to the other platform to go back a station to get off at the right station to be able to go home. I mean, it just goes to show just how great a writer J.K. Rowling is, because you just completely lose everything else that's going on, and you just become completely disoriented with everything else that's going on because you're so focused on the book. So there you go. I hope that gave you a small chuckle. Question 9. What is the thinnest book on your shelf? And that is this one that you can see right here. Rowan of Rin. This is a middle grade fantasy book. It is what we refer to as a pamphlet. So 500 page plus books are considered tomes. 250 page plus books are considered to be half tomes. Anything under 250 pages is either considered a novella or it's considered as a pamphlet. The first time I heard the word pamphlet, I knew that would be the terminology for me because I just love that word. So this book is definitely a pamphlet. It is very, very short. In fact, it is 138 pages long. I breezed through this in one day. But that is the thinnest book that I have on my bookshelf, middle grade fantasy, and it's pretty good. I would certainly recommend it. Question 10. What is the thickest book that you have on your bookshelf? And oddly enough, it will be another middle grade. The Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero is by far and away the thickest book that I own. She is a chunker and a half. So this book is 553 pages long, which is not the longest book that I've read this year, but still the pages are long and wide, making for a floppy book, which is always fun and much easier to read. I definitely recommend this book. This, again, is a middle grade fantasy, but it also incorporates the use of Greek and Roman mythology that Rick Riordan, the author, pieces and parcels out throughout the book. Was a very enjoyable read. I gave it 5 stars. I definitely recommend it if you love Greek and Roman mythology. And yeah, it was just really amazing, but certainly the thickest book that I own. By the way, for those of you wondering where those books went, there they are, right at the top of my bookshelf because I've run out of room. So they're right up there. And yeah, now you know. And one day I'll get to the point where you can see all of the books in my bookshelf at once. But anyway, let's move on to question number 11, which is, do you write as well as read? And the answer to that question is yes. Do you see yourself being an author in the future? I think it's possible. It's always been something that I guess I could say loosely aspired to be. I would love to be a writer who is able to spend his days just writing, especially writing a series, a beloved series, and yeah, reading has done a lot for me, so my inspiration to be an author came from wanting to give back to the world of authors that have given me so much throughout my life. I have written quite a few books, but I never really wanted to get them published. I ended up putting them on 2 different websites. One of them is more of a fan-based deal where I would take pre-existing books, TV shows, or films that I love and continue the story on them. I put all those books onto fanfic.net. The links to that is below. But then I also created books of my own original works that were so much fun. I have some fantasy books, I have some mystery books, I have some books that are neither of those. So yeah, they're a lot of fun too. And they went on to fictionpress.com. I have that link below. You can check all those out. But yes, I loosely have an aspiration to become an author. All right. Finally, question number 12 is, when did you get into reading? And the answer to this question is, when I was really, really young. I mean, sometimes I wonder if before I was born, I just had a book on me while I was waiting to be delivered, and I was just reading it inside my mum's belly. I don't know. Well, yeah, or if not that, not long after I was born and in my little, I don't know what you call it, my little crib in the hospital, maybe someone put a book in there and I started reading it, I don't know. But I feel like I've always liked reading, like ever since I was really, really little. I remember when I was really young, like toddler age, my mum and my dad buying me these books that came with cassette tapes. This shows how old I am. Books that came with cassette tapes where you could play the cassette tape and follow along with the book. Most of them were Disney books, and that was always a lot of fun. And then once I got into primary school, which if you're an American viewer, I'm referring to elementary school. It's just in Australia, we call it primary school. When I was in starting off in primary school, I became best friends with the librarians because I loved reading so much, and I started going down a choose your own adventure path. Who remembers those books? How awesome are they, right? So I went down that path for many years, so much so that the librarians, I didn't find this out until more recently, but they started ordering in choose your own adventure books just for me so that I could read them. And then one day I got over choose your own adventure books and I had to break their hearts and say, I'm so sorry, but I'm not into those anymore. I want to read a normal book. But anyway, yeah, I've always gotten to know the librarians of wherever I've gone, whether it was in primary school, in high school, or even when I went away to college, I still got to know my librarians. So I've always loved reading ever since I was really young. But that's where we're going to leave it. So I hope you've enjoyed this part one of the ultimate book tag. And I will see you again for part two really soon. I post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thank you very much for watching. Mwah, and happy reading. Letting you go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Bye, guys. Bye.